So, Representative Brandon Gill, a freshman Republican from Texas, whose primary qualification seems to be his unwavering loyalty to Donald Trump, decided to use his time in the House Judiciary Committee to try and grill former special counsel Jack Smith. The topic? Smith's investigation into the attempts to overturn the 2025 election.
All right, welcome back. Buckle up, buttercups. We're diving headfirst into a political circus featuring Congressman Brandon Gill and the oh-so-special counsel Jack Smith. If you thought due process meant anything when it comes to conservatives, you're about to get a rude awakening. This isn't just about phone records. It's about weaponizing the justice system against political opponents, plain and simple. Let's dissect this with the precision of a surgeon and the outrage of a taxpayer who's had enough. Let's roll the tape.
Specifically, the fact that Smith subpoenaed the phone records of Kevin McCarthy and several other Republicans. Gill thought he had a gotcha moment about a non-disclosure order, but no, he's confusing standard procedure with a conspiracy. As usual, let's watch this hearing, and I will give you my breakdown of it later.
Confusing standard procedure with a conspiracy as usual? Really? Wow. Talk about setting the stage with a healthy dose of biased condescension. Right out of the gate, our narrator here is telling you exactly how to think. Don't mind the man behind the curtain, folks. It's just standard procedure when the DOJ goes after a Republican Speaker of the House. Let's get real. When the government, especially one actively targeting political rivals, starts secretly subpoenaing the phone records of the House Speaker, it's not standard procedure. It's a red flag waving so hard it could win an Olympic gold medal in gymnastics. The idea that questioning this is confusing it with a conspiracy is precisely how they shut down legitimate concerns. It's a classic gaslighting playbook. You're just imagining things, folks. Everything is fine, nothing to see here. No, it's not fine. The American people have a right to be suspicious when powerful government agencies operate in the shadows, especially when it involves the leader of the opposition party. This isn't about loyalty to Trump. It's about holding power accountable. And it's our narrator can't see that. Maybe they need to take off those red-tinted government apologist glasses that they always wear. So ridiculous.
Texas, Mr. Gill is recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Smith, in January of 2023, did you subpoena then Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's toll records?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes, you did. And the subpoena covered the time period between November 2020 and January 2021. Is that right?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you say that again?
We're not going to delay like this. The subpoena covered the time period between November of 2020 and January 2021. How many days after Kevin McCarthy was sworn in as Speaker did you subpoena his records?
I don't recall, but those two things had nothing to do with one.
It was 16 days after becoming the highest-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of the speech or debate clause?
I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll
You
records...
were collecting months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas, we did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did, and let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated...
You think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
The question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records. But I've got more, so let's move on. In May of 2023, you also issued subpoenas for toll records of 9 U.S. senators and an additional representative. Is that right?
In May of 23, we did issue.
You did, and there were non-disclosure orders in conjunction with those subpoenas as well, right?
That's correct, consistent with department policy and the law.
So again, nobody would know what you were doing. The senators would, and the representatives would, and the American people wouldn't know what you were doing. Is that right?
The toll records that we secured and the non-disclosure orders were consistent with policy and consistent.
And you knew whenever you were doing that there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. Is that right?
The toll record subpoenas that we secured were with the concurrence of the public integrity.
Your own analysis says that you knew there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. I have it right here. This is an email from John Keller at Public Integrity Section to your team. As you are aware, quote, as you are aware, there is some litigation risk regarding whether compelled disclosure of toll records of a member's legislative calls violates the speech or debate clause in the D.C. Circuit. That's from your own analysis right there. So you did know, didn't you?
Sir, with respect to the item you just put up on the screen, the last sentence states.
Oh, we're going to get to the last sentence.
Okay.
We're going to get to the last sentence. And you cite case law in here, quote, the bar on compelled disclosure is absolute. Is that right? Or do you think that you didn't have to abide by that precedent?
To be clear, this statement is not from my office. This is the statement
This
of the
is your justification for those subpoenas and NDOs that you ordered. This was part of your analysis. It's a cursory analysis. I think it's worth noting. But let's get to that last sentence then. Quote, given my understanding of the low likelihood that any of the members listed below would be charged, the litigation risk should be minimal here. In other words, you're using a novel legal theory, which you knew was novel, has never been tested by any court. You're not charging any of these members. Nobody's going to know about it because you issued NDOs. Nobody's going to sue about it, so who cares? We're going to do it anyways. I mean, you walked all over the Constitution throughout this entire process.
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman's time has
spying
expired.
on members of Congress, and you know it. It's absolutely disgraceful. I yield back.
Okay, let me just validate the feeling you probably had while watching that. It sounds scandalous, doesn't it? The idea that the Department of Justice was spying on the Speaker of the House and labeling him a flight risk, like he's El Chapo planning a tunnel escape. I mean, look, to be fair, seeing how fast Kevin McCarthy fled from his principals to Mar-a-Lago after January 6th, maybe flight risk isn't totally inaccurate. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But if you're feeling outraged, it's because Gill is banking on you not knowing how the law actually works. And honestly, that tactic works way more than it should. So I went ahead and looked up the actual statute that Jack Smith was operating under, because Gill certainly wasn't going to read it to you. The authority for these non-disclosure orders comes from 18 U.S. Code Section 2, 705, subsection B. And according to the text of the law, a court shall grant one if notifying the person would result in any of 5 specific consequences. Gill kept hammering on number 2, flight from prosecution. But he conveniently ignored the other options, specifically number 3, destruction of or tampering with evidence, and number 5, seriously jeopardizing an investigation. When prosecutors file these forms, they often check multiple boxes, because tipping off a suspect, or even a witness, can lead to deleted texts and coordinated stories. It's not that they think Kevin McCarthy is going to defect to Russia, it's that they think he might accidentally delete his call logs. Whoops, just slipped right out of the phone.
Accidentally delete his call logs? Whoops. Just slipped right out of the phone? Did you hear that? The sheer unadulterated arrogance. So, according to our narrator, Kevin McCarthy, a seasoned politician, is just a clumsy oof who might accidentally delete critical evidence. Give me a break. This isn't about Butterfingers. It's about a calculated effort to justify government overreach. This is the kind of dismissive, patronizing garbage they feed us when they can't defend the actual actions. They paint Republicans as either bumbling idiots or nefarious criminals with no in between. The idea that a non-disclosure disorder is needed because McCarthy might accidentally delete something is insulting to anyone with an ounce of common sense. It implies he's either too stupid to know better or too corrupt to be trusted. And guess what? Unfortunately, either way, it justifies their surveillance. This isn't about preventing accidents. It's about control. It's about ensuring that the government can snoop around with anyone at any time, especially the target, without knowing a thing. This is precisely why these NDOs are so concerning. They remove transparency and accountability, turning due process into a whispered rumor.
And let's talk about what toll records actually are, because the word spying is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Toll records are metadata. It's logs of who called who, when, and for how long. It is not the content of the calls. They weren't listening to Kevin McCarthy order pizza or beg for votes, which, now that I say it out loud, honestly, that would be kind of funny. But no, that's not what this is. And as for the speech or debate clause, defense Gill is clinging to the idea that members of Congress are immune from legal scrutiny. The Supreme Court has generally held that this protection applies to legislative acts. It is not a blanket immunity shield for potential criminal conspiracies involving overturning an election. The litigation risk email Gill waved around wasn't an admission of guilt. It was a lawyer doing their job, assessing the likelihood that a member of Congress would sue them to slow down the investigation. Which, yeah, of course they would. That's not a conspiracy, that's just a Tuesday. What we are witnessing here is a deliberate strategy to conflate accountability with persecution. By focusing on the process of the investigation, the forms, the checkboxes, the timing, Gill is trying to distract from the substance of what was being investigated. They want you to be mad about the non-disclosure order, so you forget why Jack Smith needed to see who the Republican leadership was talking to in the days leading up to January 6th. And, I mean, come on, if it was totally normal, they wouldn't be acting this weird about it. So here is the simple truth you can tell your friends. Prosecutors don't ask suspects for permission to check their phone bills. They don't. They can't. That's not how any of this works. If Jack Smith had told Kevin McCarthy he was looking at his records, the evidence would have vanished faster than McCarthy's speakership, which, still kind of incredible, honestly. Like, record speed. So, what does this mean? On a personal level, imagine if the police had to ask a bank robber for permission before checking the security cameras. That sounds ridiculous because it is. Yet, that is the standard. Republicans want applied to themselves.
Yet that is the standard Republicans want applied to themselves. Hold on a minute. What the hell are you talking about? Comparing a Speaker of the House, a duly elected representative, to a bank robber is not just intellectually dishonest, it's a grotesque distortion designed to inflame and mislead. This isn't about asking permission from a criminal. It's about respecting the constitutional rights and the separation of powers inherited in our system. When the government targets a high-ranking official of the opposing party, they should be a higher standard of scrutiny, not less. We're not talking about a street criminal. We're talking about the leader of a co-equal branch of government. The idea that Republicans are asking for special treatment is a straw man. They're asking for the Constitution to be followed, for due process to be honored, and for government agencies not to operate like a political enforcement arm. This analogy is a transparent attempt to normalize the weaponization of federal power against political dissent. It implies that a Republican under investigation is automatically guilty and therefore deserves no protections whatsoever. That's a dangerous path, folks, one that leads straight to tyranny, not justice.
It's a level of entitlement that says, laws are for you, not for us. And if you or I were under investigation for a federal crime, we wouldn't get a courtesy call from the Department of Justice. We'd get a knock on the door, and probably not a friendly one. On a broader scale, this is an attempt to criminalize the investigators. By dragging Jack Smith in and shouting about novel legal theories, they're trying to ensure that no future prosecutor ever dares to look into the phone records of a Republican politician again. It is a chilling effect designed to place the political class above the law, and for what? To protect the reputation of Kevin McCarthy, a man who has already been humiliated by his own party? No. It's to establish the precedent that if you have an R next to your name, your phone records are sacred even if they contain the blueprint for a coup. The reality is that Jack Smith followed the Department of Justice's own guidelines, consulted with the Public Integrity Section, and obtained a court order from a judge. Gill can scream disgraceful all he wants, but the only disgrace here is a member of Congress using a committee hearing to act as a defense attorney for potential co-conspirators. And wow, what a use of taxpayer-funded time. Fantastic. This isn't about the sanctity of the Constitution or the speech or debate clause. It's about fear. It's about the terrifying realization that there is a permanent record of who they were talking to when they thought no one was watching. And based on how hard they're fighting to keep us from seeing it, I'm guessing it wasn't just their grandmothers.
And there you have it, folks. What we just witnessed wasn't a pursuit of justice. It was a masterclass in political prosecution, cloaked in legal jargon and dismissive rhetoric. They want you to believe that questioning government overreach is akin to defending criminals. Don't fall for it, folks. The fight for accountability against a weaponized bureaucracy is far from over. So tell me, if you believe like I do that our elected officials, regardless of party, deserve due process and that government agencies shouldn't operate in the shadows, then hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more truth bombs. Let's keep shining a light on these abuses of power. Let your voice be heard. And as always, stay vigilant, patriots, stay vigilant.